Thanks. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Larkspur City Council on Wednesday, November 6, 2024. It's now 6:34 p.m. and we're getting the meeting started a few minutes late, but bear with us. We're going to start with the roll call. Allison?
Councilmember Andre.
Here.
Councilmember Paulson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Way.
Here. And if you can, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
Thank you. Tonight, we have no presentations. That brings us to item 4, approval of the consent calendar. I'll ask first if any of my colleagues on the dais here would like to remove any item from the consent calendar for discussion. No? Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to remove an item from discussion on the consent calendar? Okay, seeing none, and no one in the electronic audience has their hand raised.
I'm looking for any raised hands from our Zoom audience members. And there's no public comment.
All right, then I'll close that item and accept a motion for approval.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Do we need a roll call for that? Might as well.
Councilmember Andre.
Yes.
Councilmember Paulson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Way.
Yes. That brings us to item 5, the city manager's report.
Just a few calendar items, Madam Vice Mayor. So first off, I want to make sure folks are aware, and you'll start to see noticing to this effect that the annual review of garbage rates is going to take place at your next meeting on November 20. It'll be a public hearing. I encourage folks to access the material once available on the website and participate in the public hearing. And then, as the council's aware, there was a lot of interest that we received in written form, asking for us to look at off-leash dog hours in Piper Park. And so we've referred that matter to the Park and Rec Commission for a preliminary discussion to do an advisory vote to bring to you for further discussion. And so that meeting's taking place here in this council chamber on November 21st at 6:30. And if you go online now, you'll see there's a news item. It tells you how you can submit written comments if you can't attend the meeting. We'd like to hear from folks and get their sense of whether this is something they support or not. So encourage folks to go on our website on the homepage, and one of the news bulletins is to follow up on this issue. That I turn it back to you. I'm going to let you talk about last Saturday. So.
First of all, I'd like to apologize that I jumped over item 2, which is public comment. So we'll need to return on the agenda to item 2. I'd like to open the meeting to public comment, and this is only for items that are not on tonight's agenda. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on public comment? Okay. Is there anyone online who would like to speak on public comment?
I'm looking for any raised hands from our Zoom audience members, and there's no public comment.
Thank you. All right, we'll return to our regularly scheduled broadcast, and that is item number 6, which is council members' oral reports and comments. Do any of my colleagues have anything they want to say?
Just very quickly, I attended the Cal City's annual conference in mid-October down in Long Beach, and that was the first time I've attended such a conference, and it was actually really informative for me. I attended some really interesting panel discussions on disaster response and preparedness, on climate, and on just governance in general. So I have some ideas for maybe topics that we can talk about as a council at our strategic retreat. And I'll also share a presentation that I thought was really good. It was an economic presentation on, what the rhetoric is versus what the data actually says. And I thought that was very interesting. But that was it.
That's great. Thanks for going. I've gone every year until the last 1 or 2. So I appreciate that you went, because I think they are very informative, and I'll definitely go next year. And then you'll probably be attending the new council member boot camp or whatever it's called in January. And with our other new council member, Sarah, who appears to be in the lead as of last night's election tally. So my only report is on Saturday, we did a ribbon cutting at the new playground in Niven Park in Greenbrae called Alex's Playground. And it's a beautiful discovery playground. Have you gone yet with Grace?
We went the next morning.
Oh, I'm sure she loved it.
Yes.
Oh, it's perfect for her age group. It's really designed for 5 years and younger. And it's full of all sorts of things for children to explore. It was a beautiful opening. It was a full, busy day. I know you were there also. And I was just very pleased with how well our staff worked with this family in a very traumatic situation and to memorialize their son and to really gift to the community an amazing new opportunity to create a real family space in that park. And their comments about how Rita from our Public Works Department and the Public Works employees really made a big difference in the design and in the family's ability to participate and to be part of the process of designing this memorial space for their son and for the community. So thank you very much to the staff for all the hard work in that, because it was an unusual, it's not a cookie cutter design, and was not a playground that you would find in a magazine, in a in a Public Works brochure magazine to buy off the rack. It definitely was not that. So it was really important to have the personal relationship that I think the family, the Quambecks, developed with us. I think that's it. We're moving on to item 7, which is a public hearing. We have one public hearing tonight, which is the introduction of Ordinance 1083, adding section 2.05.050 to chapter 2.05 of the Larkspur Municipal Code to require electronic and paperless filing of Fair Political Practice Commission disclosure papers. May we have a staff report, please?
Yes, thank you, Vice Mayor Way and members of the City Council. Before you tonight is an ordinance to allow e-filing of campaign statements. Bring this a little closer.
Yeah.
The city clerk's office is implementing NetFile, which is an electronic paperless filing system that allows e-filing of campaign disclosure statements like the Form 460, 470, 496, 497, and others. The NetFile system meets the standards of the Secretary of State and uses industry best standards for data security. E-filing will promote transparency and will also provide convenience for our committees and individual filers. The city clerk's office is dedicated to ensuring a smooth transition to e-filing. So along with the NetFile providers, we'll provide extensive training to all of our filers. The NetFile system also allows filing of Form 700 statements of economic interest. And while an ordinance isn't required for that process, the city clerk's office is still very excited about the transparency and convenience that system will offer. So again, the council is being asked to approve the introduction and waive the first reading of Ordinance 1083 this evening. And if approved, it will be brought back at the next regular meeting for adoption. And I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Any questions of our city clerk?
Yeah, well, first I want to say I think this is a great idea. And, just as a technical matter, so let's say for the 460, this is the form for, when you're campaigning. I'm assuming that the forms will be filled out online and the signatures will be something like DocuSign done online, and it sort of takes staff out of the loop where we don't have to get, wet signatures and stick them in mailboxes and all that. So that's sort of the end, is that everything can be done virtually and everything is paperless.
Exactly. There will be no more trying to get your wet signature to City Hall on time. You can do it all at your computer.
And I have to give my thanks to Allison's incredible patience with waiting until 5:05 on the deadline. So anyway, I think it's great. No other questions.
And Allison, when if we approve this tonight and it gets first approval of first reading and then it comes back to us, when would you see this starting? January?
I would anticipate that you'll be seeing it for Form 700 filings in the new year. And then you will have if you have an open campaign committee, Form 460 is due January 31st. So you'll be able to file that. Otherwise, council members without a committee will file the Form 470, I believe, July 31st. So
And
the new year.
they'll also be available online for public viewing.
Yes,
Just
there's a
like,
public, I'm sorry, I didn't mention that. There's a public portal available that the public will be able to access. And we'll put up, I believe, the last 2 to 3 years of filings for people to be able to look at as well.
and since this also applies to planning commissioners, city manager, city treasurer, and city attorney, have we done any notification to the planning commissioners on this?
We have not, the ordinance would not apply to them because the Form 700 doesn't require the ordinance
Okay.
to allow e-filing. Our planning commissioners do all file already using the FPPC's electronic filing system. So all 5 planning commissioners are familiar with electronic filing, and our conflict of interest code filers will all be trained on how to file Form 700s.
Okay, great. Did you have any questions?
Just a quick question. I know that, some of the forms require us to put, personal information like our address or, if we have people who contribute to our campaigns, their address. Does that get redacted
Yes.
with the online filing?
Yes, the
Okay.
net file system redacts addresses and phone numbers, and that'll be an extreme time saving for the city clerk's office because currently I'm manually redacting all the forms before they go online.
Okay.
So that'll be great.
And I think in the Form 700, you don't have to put your personal residence in. If you
could put-
own real property, that is your personal residence.
You could put the city hall address on your Form 700.
Okay, if there are no more questions, I'll open it up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this matter? Introduce yourself, please, and welcome.
Can't resist. Sorry, I'm Paul Cohen. I run a public affairs firm based in San Rafael. And part of my business is I do campaign work all over the state of California. I commend staff and the council for considering this. I think the public interest is very well served by making campaign contribution information public and easily accessible. I know Larkspur doesn't have a lot of contentious, expensive elections, but the more communities that take this up, the more we can get others to do so in places where it is more contentious. And like I say, I think, sunshine is the best remedy. And I encourage you to approve the ordinance. Thanks.
Anyone else in the audience to speak on this matter? Allison, anyone online interested in speaking on this matter?
I'm looking for any raised hands from our Zoom audience members. And there's no public comment.
Okay, so I will close item 7.1 and waive the first reading, and we don't need a motion on this, do we? Yeah, we do. Okay. Did any of my colleagues would like to move this matter?
I'll motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, moved and seconded.
Councilmember Andre?
Yes.
Councilmember Paulson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Way?
Yes. That brings us to our business item tonight, which is 8.1, report from the ad hoc committee reviewing the city's membership in the California Community Housing Agency, CalCHA, and the performance of its Larkspur property Serenity at Larkspur. I would like to start by saying we have had at times issues that are needing a lot more in-depth work by our city council. And we've had multiple times in which we have had subcommittees that are usually a matter of staff and 2 council members. This subcommittee was formed a few months ago, and it comprises the mayor, Scott Candell, and Councilmember Andre. So do we feel all right moving forward to discuss this without your other council member who was part of this ad hoc committee here to begin with? Because I think that's maybe a material piece of your ability to sort of share what your ad hoc committee had done. Do we, city attorney, are there any requirements out of an ad hoc committee, both members of the committee be in attendance for the presentation?
There's no state law requirement, and the city council hasn't adopted any procedure that would require it.
Okay.
So it's ultimately up to the council whether or not you want to proceed without the mayor present.
Have we heard any response to an inquiry? Okay. What I would like to suggest is, since we are well ahead of time and it's not even 7 o'clock yet, that we adjourn for maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes to make sure that we have every opportunity for Scott, because I think this is a really important topic. And I know both of you did a lot of work and you did a lot of interviews and you did a lot of conversation with city staff and with others. I just want to make sure we've given every opportunity for a full ability for that conversation to happen. So if there's no problem with my council members, we will adjourn until 7:05. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our city council meeting. I will be your host of events moving forward, and my understanding is we are on business item 8.1. Can we get a staff report, please?
There you go.
Mr. Mayor, council members, at the council's May 15 meeting, the council had an item to discuss requests from the community to take a look at the operation of the CalCHA property in Larkspur, CalCHA being the California Community Housing Agency. The property in question is Serenity at Larkspur. CalCHA is a joint powers authority that was created and the city eventually joined that provides what it calls essential housing. It's a program that CalCHA puts in place to fill an existing apartment building with a program of occupants who are qualified for different levels of affordable housing. It was also during the discussions in 2019 when the city took up the original question of joining CalCHA, talked about a lot as middle income housing. And so there's a lot of interest at that time in that program because there aren't a lot of programs out there targeting that segment of the income bracket for housing needs. But there were some messages in the press about potential issues and distress financially at the property that people flagged and offered to the council and said there was some concern. And so the council at its May 15 meeting decided to form an ad hoc committee, which consists of the mayor and Councilmember Andre, and tasked the committee with taking a look at what's happening, both with the program that's being operated at Serenity and then also these reports of financial distress with the property. And the ad hoc committee has been meeting fairly regularly and then doing a lot of homework and research, and they've been supported generally by myself and the city attorney. The first product from the committee is now before you, which is a preliminary report that was written by the ad hoc committee. And the committee decided that in conjunction with sending a letter to the CalCHA board to outline some of the concerns that the committee has, that they would release this preliminary report so that the community and the public could share in the information that an analysis that the committee has created to date. As one of the people staffing the committee, I would say the charge is still ongoing. There are still items outstanding that the committee is researching, but this is an opportunity for the council and the public to review this material and provide feedback to the committee if you so desire, if warranted. With that, I think it'd be appropriate to turn over to the committee so that they can talk about the report they've produced.
Okay, so let me just check with staff real quick. The purpose of this item, there's nothing that we are voting on, no direction we're giving staff. It is more of an informational to share the past several months of progress with council and the public and to take input on potential ways forward. Is that accurate?
That is my understanding. In taking my direction from the ad hoc committee, it was indicated to me that at this time, you are not at a place where you feel you are ready to recommend specific actions by the council, but you felt it was appropriate for the information analysis you've conducted to date to be released to the public. So the purpose this evening is to discuss what's been released. If the council would like to give direction in terms of further issues that you're interested in, or something you might want brought back at a future agenda for a discussion, then that would be appropriate to do this evening.
Okay, fair. Thank you very much for that. Let me start just asking Councilmember Andre. I assume probably the easiest thing for council would be for us to summarize the report, potential ways forward. Is that something you'd like to kind of share? You wanna take the lead on that, or would you like me to? It's up to you.
I mean, I think, a lot of the analysis is laid out in the report. I will, just talk about, we did spend a number of months looking through the public documents on Serenity, talking to a lot of the stakeholders, including the county, including Catalyst, representatives of CalCHA, GPM advisors. And so, this report is an initial report with our findings and our initial analysis. And so what we tried to do was, one, take a look at what progress had been made, or what is the performance of this property in reaching the goals as outlined in the regulatory agreement, primarily providing housing or rent benefits to middle income tenants, and also what are the costs associated with this program, the essential housing program. And so you'll see, we go into in-depth analysis in terms of, what are the benefits to the middle income tenants, and then, what are the costs. And in addition to that, the property is under financial distress. And while the city of Larkspur is not party to the bond transaction, it does impact it. We do have an interest in what is happening at the property, and specifically what happens to the essential housing program at the property. And so that is what the report focuses on with respect to the bond transaction.
Okay, and let me just add another little summary, and then we can discuss it. Back in, I believe it was 2019, when the project was proposed to council, the idea was to create a place for moderate income housing, to moderate to low income housing, and the reasons that were presented to council were that we would get that on one hand, and the downside was that we were going to be losing tax revenues. And it was put before council to weigh those two and to see if we felt it was worth it to the city of Larkspur for the amount of housing that we were getting, for the amount of tax benefits that we were losing. At the time, it was proposed that this was going to turn into 100% low to moderate income housing. At the time the project was approved, we are now analyzing this after 5 years to see how we are doing in that path. And at this point, one of our concerns is that after 5 years, we're still only at about 50% in the program. 50% are not in any of these categories and are being rented at market rate. So the benefit to the city on that side is less than we anticipated. We also have brought this up because there are some financial issues, and one of the potential proposals is to allow new people to come in that are not part of the program, that are market rate, in order to help meet the financial burden, which would give us even less benefit to the city. So the question is, are we happy with this program? Do we want to keep going with it? And if we decide that the cost to the city, meaning the tax revenue that we're losing, is not worth the benefit to the city that we're getting, what are our options? And how should we move forward as a city? Some of our choices are to withdraw from the joint powers. And I think we wanted to hear from council and just have a discussion on this and hear from the public. And by the end of this meeting, hopefully have some clarity of where we as a city are and what we're trying to accomplish moving forward. So having said that, I would like to open up to the public. Before I do, let me ask council, and we'll have a discussion at council. Is there anything that you feel we should talk about before I open it up to the public? Sure.
the committee and the staff initiated a letter on October 31st to California Community Housing Agency. And have we received any response yet from that?
No, we have not.
We have not. So we still have an outstanding request for information to a very important part of this arrangement. And so I think that's an important thing that we need to pay attention to of what their response is. The other, we are just one of many cities that have a program similar to this. And are we aware of any other city council that is addressing it like we are addressing it? I mean, we listed in the report a bunch of different ones. I'm wondering if they are also in the works of trying to get some more information.
Not to our knowledge, although there are definitely other properties that are in distress. But we are not aware that other councils have formed an ad hoc committee and are studying it like we are.
Okay.
And I would also address the first part of your
Yeah.
question, that CalCHA has been less than ideally responsive to our requests that were made, and there were requests prior to this letter.
Okay.
And it's been challenging having them either have a meeting with us or to get information.
Okay.
Councilmember Paulson, anything before I open it up to the public that you would like to talk about?
Well, sorry. I think the main questions I have, I'll just, kind of state ahead, is the letter that we got back from the Catalyst Group had a lot of claims that the report from the ad hoc committee is inaccurate, but it didn't state what the accurate numbers are. So I'm really curious to get the facts. I also want to express appreciation to the ad hoc because it was a lot of data gathering and
much.
some really well summarized conclusions, which I don't think we'll need to restate because you put them together so well. But I'm really eager to learn more, see if we missed anything.
This is the November 4th letter that you're talking about?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that was written by Allison, signed Allison Arnold, Director of Housing of Catalyst.
Okay, and let me just add to that while the committee is being credited for this report, I would like to thank Councilmember Andre for doing the majority of the lifting on this and creating such a fantastic report. So thank you for that. And with that, let me open it up to the public. Are there any people in the public let's start with the people here in chambers? Is there anyone here that would like to make a comment? Come on up and just tell us who you are and let's hear what you have to say.
Hi there, members of the Larkspur City Council. Sorry. My name is Allison Arnold. I am the Director of Housing Policy at Catalyst Housing Group. Catalyst provides asset management services to governmental and nonprofit owners of affordable housing. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today regarding the ad hoc committee's report on Serenity at Larkspur. First and foremost, we want to acknowledge that we disagree with the report's conclusion that Serenity has not provided substantial impact for the city and its residents. Serenity has really been a vital housing resource, delivering more low and moderate income units than the city has seen constructed in the past decade. Serenity is home to approximately 200 low and moderate income families who collectively benefit from more than $1 million in annual rent savings annually. Serenity has provided desperately needed affordable low and moderate income housing to families, has provided desperately needed affordable housing faster and at a cost that is more effective than new construction. Thank you for the overview of the report's findings. As you pointed out, we did submit a initial response to the report's findings. We did identify a number of inaccuracies that we would like to expand upon. We have been in communication with the ownership at CalCHA, and we're fully prepared to address the city council's concerns and get you the information that you need. Councilmember Paulson, totally happy to provide you with the data to sort of back up those claims in that report. We strongly urge the council to avoid taking any actions based on what Catalyst believes to be an inaccurate report. And as you mentioned, it seems as though you're still in the information gathering stage, and we really would welcome the opportunity to continue our partnership with the city. We do believe that Serenity's ownership, management, and investors remain committed to providing this housing to the city of Larkspur, and the city is a critical fourth leg to this stool. Serenity will not reach its full potential without Larkspur's continued partnership and support. And to the extent the city council has direct questions for Catalyst that arise in your discussions, I'll be here listening. I'll be taking notes and can coordinate that follow-up afterwards. But thank you again for your time and consideration. And again, we appreciate the partnership.
Thank you for that. Let me ask you a question. Are you in a position to field questions from council if council had questions?
I'm happy to field questions and I'm happy to answer them to the best of my ability. Catalyst is a small but diverse team of industry experts. So to the extent that there are questions around the financing, underwriting, some of the financial performance, I can field those and get you the answers you need on a follow-up, but happy to do my best.
All right. I have a question, which is in the report, there are some statistics about the number of units that are being rented to low, middle, and moderate income, as well as for people that are not in the program. Are those numbers accurate to your understanding?
Those numbers are accurate as of the date that they were published, but you'll forgive me, I don't remember the exact date. I think that they were sometime in June.
Okay. And the numbers that state that the people not in the program are actually paying less rent than the people that are deemed low, medium, and moderate income, is that accurate as well?
This has definitely been something that we have tried to be responsive to the ad hoc committee. There are scenarios where non-program households on average are paying less than program qualified houses on average. It's due to a number of COVID-related reasons, due to the limitations that we have on displacement of folks that exit out of the program. It's due to a number of those non-program households being at one point program qualified, and for one reason or another, they don't submit the income paperwork to continue to be in the program. They are allowed to remain because of the non-displacement clause within the regulatory agreement. And thus, those rent savings are captured within a new other category. So
can I ask, when we were in a meeting, and I believe you were there, I think I specifically asked, from the beginning, are only people that are qualified being rented property there? And I think the answer was yes. And my follow-up was, could you please provide us with some type of documentation showing us that the people that are not in the program all were originally in the program and were switched out, and that you're actually not renting it to people at market rate. And we haven't gotten anything yet, to my understanding. Can I ask staff, have we received that?
I haven't seen the breakdown you're describing. We certainly received a lot of information from Ms. Arnold.
Okay. That's kind of important to me. So if you could, I would love to see that so that I can feel comfortable that the program is, that you are actively just renting to people in the program, and everybody not in the program, which is literally half of the people there, were once in the program and have graduated or, for whatever reason, no longer in the program. I think that would paint a very different picture than if you are just renting at market rate to people and charging less than you're charging people in the program.
I can say with certainty that today, all vacant units are leased to program qualified households.
Okay. The other question that I had, and then I'm sorry for hogging the mic here, I'll pass it around, is the potential plan moving forward. I remember there was a suggestion that as part of the recapitalization plan, that there was going to be an option to rent it to people who are not part of the program moving forward. Is that, as far as you know, part of the recapitalization plan?
I'm not able to talk about the recapitalization plan. You know, there are limitations around what I'm able to disclose publicly just due to securities law. So again, let me take that feedback back to back to the Catalyst larger working group, and we'll be sure to get you a follow-up as soon as possible.
I appreciate that. Let me, and again, I don't mean to, this is not a hearing and I'm sorry. So if anybody had any questions, you can ask if you are comfortable answering them. If you're not comfortable answering them, just tell us you don't know the answer. But while we have you here, is there any questions?
I think I'll piggyback on some of those requests for more information is that our ad hoc committee did a deep dive as far as they could with the materials available and wrote an 18-page detailed report with a lot of data and a lot of conclusions in it. And then the response was a kind of a bullet point, 2 pages or 1.5 pages disagreeing with some of the information. And highlighting critical inaccuracies is what the letter says. I think it would be helpful for me moving forward, or for maybe the council, is that take this report, which is now a public document, or it's available on our in our in our packet for tonight for public to see, and really kind of, to me, get into the document and really refute some of the arguments, specifically with data and information that will help us make reach a conclusion. Some of these are very cursory comments in my book as to trying to refute some of the information that had been received already, and it's not sufficient for us for me to actually really figure out what's happening. So to the mayor's point, I think the questions that were asked and haven't been received yet has led to some inability for us to fully analyze this.
Yeah, we look forward to the opportunity to providing you more information.
I think it would also be helpful too, if you're providing more information, what other public agencies or public departments are also looking at this property for reasons of assessment or property tax valuation. There's some things that are written in the local newspaper about it, but to find out a little bit more details would be helpful. Would that help you guys?
Of course. Yeah, definitely. And I guess along the same, so it sounds like we're just giving you homework, but I wonder if
That's
you
what
have
I'm
an
here for.
answer.
All good, all
Yeah.
good.
So I think, one of the, I've looked, so the report in June of 2024, roughly 5 months ago, said 191 units were income qualified, 151 weren't. So basically 55, it's almost 50-50, a few more, 55% more. And I can imagine, with sort of a vacancy decontrol going on, it might be something different. But are those numbers accurate? Are the June numbers accurate? I don't care what they are today.
The June numbers are accurate as
Okay,
of June.
so the program's evolved. So to claim that the ad hoc didn't give us accurate numbers isn't really right. They gave us accurate numbers, but they could be updated. 5 months of change. Is that a better way to put it? I'm on page number 11.
Sorry, I may be a misunderstanding. I don't dispute the claim that the program qualified numbers cited in the ad hoc committee report were accurate as of June.
I'm sorry. Say it again.
I believe those are the accurate numbers as of June.
Okay, so when the letter that you wrote on page 1 says inaccurately calculates the current percentage of unqualified households, that's not true.
That
It
was
is
in-
accurately calculating them. It's what maybe should be said is that it does not take into account 5 months of change.
Excuse me, sorry. If we're referring to that one specific point within our response, it's actually referring to the calculation of the non-program households where they were considered, all the vacant units were considered to be non-program. We don't believe that that is accurate,
I
as
see.
all vacant units will be leased to program qualified households. And again, we want to get into all of this information and provide a fulsome response.
Okay, I appreciate that. And then on page 12 of the report, is this, the number is that there's 2.9 million in property tax exemptions and 1 million paid to Catalyst. Is Catalyst paid 1 million annually?
We dispute some of the fee calculations within the report.
Okay, okay, great. So you'll get back to us on that. Okay, so same thing. I think I just want to underscore Councilmember Way's question. I think that there are about 7 to 10 conclusions, and I'd love to see every one of them substantially, rebutted if they're inaccurate.
Of course.
Thank you.
I do have a question because in your letters and also previous letters from CalCHA as well, you all cite that the city of Larkspur would stand to receive residual value either in 15 or 30 years from a potential sale of the property, or, upon maturity of the bonds, the property would revert back to the city. We have asked to see your projection model for that. Here in this letter, you cite that, the city stands to receive in excess of 100 million in surplus revenues from Serenity. I think there are a lot of assumptions that undergird those projections, and we've asked for the projection model just so we can better understand what you're forecasting here. Right. Which, current revenues are like 12 million. So it's a significant increase from current revenues.
It's in response to the city's purchase option agreement, which it executed with CalCHA as a part of the transaction here in 2020, I believe. So it's not just the surplus revenues that flow through the waterfall to the surplus revenues fund, but it's also the embedded equity, should that be, something that the city is interested in. So again, happy to get into the detail there when we provide our fulsome response.
Yes, please share your model with us so we can take a look.
All right, I think you are free to leave the witness stand.
Thank you, council members. We really do appreciate the partnership. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there other comments from the public on this item? Seeing none, I will turn to our online viewership. Is there anyone online with a comment on this issue?
I'm looking for any comments from our online viewers. And there's no public comment.
Okay, with that, I will close public comment and I will bring it back to council. And I will open it up to see if anybody would like to start a discussion on this issue about where to go from here.
Well, I think we've shown in our conversation just the last 10 minutes, there's a lot of still outstanding data that needs to be assessed by our ad hoc committee and our city staff. I think we still have this outstanding letter that was dated October 31st. We've actually responded now to the letter on November 4th in person to Ms. Arnold asking for a lot more data. So I think we still need to move forward, and I'm interested in knowing if we feel a deadline is needed, or do we continue to seek the information as it comes through? I think you've made a very comprehensive report. Thank you for that. This is probably the most comprehensive one I've seen, and this material from an ad hoc committee, so I appreciate it. Probably could use a little bit more information from Catalyst that would help make other conclusions like you've asked. Is a deadline something that we need to discuss, or is that a strategy that we shouldn't take yet?
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that 2 weeks would be good. This is information that we've asked, the ad hoc committee has asked for, and we haven't received thus far from either Catalyst or CalCHA. So to the extent that this information is available, and I believe it is available, it just hasn't been shared with us. I think if they can get it to us as soon as possible would be very helpful.
Yeah, I think the next council meeting would be good. This has been going on for 6 months, so.
All right, so.
But we might not get a response from the October 31st letter in that short amount of time. I want to make sure we collect as much of the requested information to add to more in-depth analysis. So that might be a little too soon. Just putting it out there.
Can we ask, is it possible to ask Allison what's a reasonable time to get the data? Through the mayor.
Is 2 weeks.
So, yeah, let me, put out there that I reviewed the response. It was very general and doesn't really help us. It was, more of a liar, liar, pants on fire, and didn't say, this is incorrect and let me correct it for you. That would be very helpful for us. If there are altered, different facts that we missed, things we misinterpreted, if you could explain what we got wrong, we would love to get it right. I mean, we're not, out to mislead anybody. We want to have an accurate report. We believe this is accurate, and wherever we messed up, we would love you to tell us. So I think, let's say 2 weeks, and if for some reason that is not enough time, if you could please let us know through the city manager, and let us know what you would need in order to get back to us with the clarity that and the specificity that we're asking for. We would appreciate that.
Like-
And yeah,
I think we need to, I kind of want to withdraw my timeline approach because I think we need to really ask the city manager. I mean, we have 2 months before the end of the year. We have a lot, we only have 4 meetings left before the end of the year.
and let me,
And I mean, plus, I mean, we're working on deadline for some other things too. So I want to make sure that we fit this issue into an existing framework of end of year needs too.
right, but let me just clarify that when we get the response back,
Yeah,
that's not the end. Then it's going to go to the subcommittee, I would imagine.
it'll take a while.
We're going to incorporate it into our report, modify our report if necessary, write an appendix to the report if necessary. So it is just a way to keep things moving forward, not that we are going to be back on calendar in 2 weeks discussing it.
Yeah. What do you think?
I had taken your question to be, is there a specific deadline looming over us?
Right.
And my answer, having worked with the ad hoc committee and reflecting back to 2019 is, while there's not a date, there's a process going on in parallel to the ad hoc committee's work, which is this potential recapitalization plan being implemented so that the bonds can be redone. And that's sort of a deadline where we're working in a black box of what that decision date is. But I think the ad hoc committee has correctly reflected the council's strong position from day one that you want this program to be running at the property. And if the recapitalization program is going to implement a provision that's contrary to the program, that kind of creates this problem that you don't know. And so I think I appreciate what the 2 ad hoc committee members are saying about keeping momentum going is in part because you're trying to get to the point of making final decisions with that concern looming over the committee.
Makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And I think the momentum is really important. I also just in closing want to make sure we continue to keep the tenants and the people the families that are living there in our decision making and our thoughts so that we are not facing an issue where there's displacement or something of community members if we don't need to have that happen. So that's my last.
That is a topic that we discuss regularly in
Good.
the subcommittee. And regardless of the resolution, that's going to be part of the, our priorities. Councilmember, anything you would like to add on this?
No, thank you.
Okay, with that, I will close this item. Can I ask our city managers any other direction or anything you need from us on this item?
I don't think staff does. So if the ad hoc committee is satisfied, then the item's done.
Okay, we are satisfied. So with that, I will close this item and I will move to the next item, which is adjournment. Have a good night, everybody.